All right then, good afternoon, everyone. Today is September 23rd, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority. Present in the Albany offices are Chairman Bradley. By video, we have Commissioners Fan and Commissioners Ford, who can be seen on the screen. We have staff in attendance. We have General Counsel Meyerhoff, who's also joining us by video, and myself, Secretary Donahue, at the Albany offices. There are 4 items on today's calendar. They are all related to summary suspension matters. And Chairman, unless you have anything else, we'll get started with the first item.
No, go ahead.
Which is agenda number 1253 HH. It's Ontario OP 314-1351. The licensee is Pat Rick LLC.
Good morning, members. Jamie Gallagher appearing on behalf of the authority. This is a request for an emergency summary order of suspension pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. This premises is licensed as a bar tavern in Geneva, New York. The license was first issued on March 25th of 2009. On September 17th of this year, investigator William Monroe visited the premises for about a half an hour from 9:58 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. He observed multiple violations of Executive Order 202.41 at that time, violations of social distancing protocol inside the licensed premises. Specifically, he observed a table of 6 female patrons all standing at a tall table without masks. 4 of them were consuming beverages. In the corner, there was another group of 7, 4 of whom were standing and consuming beverages unmasked. 2 other patrons during his visit were directly observed standing and ordering beverages directly from the bartender while unmasked. While he was there, even more patrons entered and filled the bar area. Eventually, during his visit, the premises was lined with patrons from different parties, all within 6 feet of each other. No social distancing was being observed, and several of these patrons were observed entering the premises without masks at all. When Investigator Monroe left the premises, he estimates there were approximately 45 patrons inside engaging with each other in this manner. And as he was walking away, he saw even more college-age patrons heading towards the premises. I think almost everybody who was in there was college age on that evening as well. While he was in the premises on September 17th, Investigator Monroe ordered and was served 1 shot of Jack Fire whiskey without being required to order or being served accompanying food in violation of Executive Order 202.52. On September 19th of this year, Investigator Curry visited the licensed premises. He also observed similar circumstances on the night of his visit. He described over 30 patrons in a crowded bar, mostly standing. Very few were wearing masks. Many were consuming beverages. And what he described to me was, even though there was space for these patrons to spread out, almost all of them were congregated around the bar trying to order drinks. And that he had to actually weave through the crowd to get back towards the restroom area. The licensee is being charged with Executive Order 202.41, Executive Order 202.52, and failure to supervise for the events of September 17th, and Executive Order 202.41 and failure to supervise for the events observed on September 19th. I attached many photographs to the report. Investigator Curry actually has a really good picture depicting the scene in the bar, and that's in the second group of photos. You can see almost all these college students just standing around, congregated all in front of the bar area. Based on the evidence presented, this licensee is not abiding by the executive orders, is not even attempting to enforce these executive orders. He's got patrons ordering drinks directly from the bar, right in front of, the bartenders, and these folks are not wearing masks, and nobody's even attempting to control this situation. Looks like pre-pandemic times in there. It's like nothing is going on. This is a danger to the public's health, welfare, and safety. I believe that Hobart William Smith College is nearby to this establishment. As I said, most of the patrons appear to be college age. Council's office is requesting an emergency summary order of suspension based on the observations of the 2 investigators on the 2 nights in question. Thank you.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Does this place have any adverse history, Jamie?
Not in the last 5 years. There was one case from 2010. I believe it was purchased from an authorized source.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right. Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the full board. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on the evidence presented by Council Gallagher, I find that this location is an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
Based on evidence presented by council, I vote to summarily suspend as well.
And Chairman Bradley.
I vote to summarily suspend. Based on the pictures and the evidence presented by council, it's obvious that this entire operation is currently operating illegally. I don't think there's one executive order that they have not violated. So I vote to summarily suspend. They're clearly risks the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, with that, the next item I have is 1253 II. It's New York OP 1197728. The licensee is Rugfrit 1350 LLC.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. William Brennan for Council's office. I'm here today to request that the board summarily suspend the licensee for flagrantly violating EOs 202.3, 202.38, 202.52, and failing to adequately supervise the licensed premises. Rugfrit 1350 LLC, DBA Visa Cucina, has been licensed since January 2008. The premises is located at 1350 Avenue of the Americas, New York, New York. On September 22nd, 2020, investigator Christopher Murray and investigator Damaris Abrams Jones of the EO Task Force conducted an inspection of the licensed premises. Investigators observed patrons of the establishment seated, drinking and consuming food inside the building. There were 3 different tables with 11 patrons total. Another 6 patrons were observed at a bar top with alcoholic beverages and no food being served. Additionally, many tables were less than 6 feet apart, causing patrons to not be able to properly socially distance from one another. Pictures taken by the investigators show some patrons standing, some with beverages, some without face coverings, many not socially distancing in the outdoor seating area of the premises. The licensee will be charged with violating EOs 202.3, 202.38, 202.52, failing to adequately supervise the licensed premises. With respect to supervision, I believe it's important to note that the individual who self-identified as the owner, Pedro Guimarães, is not a principal on the license. In November of 2019, an application was filed in which Mr. Guimarães would have become a principal, but that application was disapproved by letter dated March 4th, 2020, due to the applicant's withdrawal of the application. The question of who is actually running and supervising the licensed premises will be subject to further investigation. Clear from the investigator's report, as well as the photographs taken by the investigator, that the licensee was blatantly violating EOs 2023, 2038, 20252, in addition to failing to supervise the licensed premises. The manner in which the licensee is operating its business presents an immediate threat to the safety, health, and welfare of its patrons, employees, and the general public. For these reasons, Council's office respectfully requests that the board suspend this licensee.
All right, then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, so thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Any history here, Counselor?
No, Commissioner, they have no significant history.
Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no question.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence presented by Council Brennan, this location is an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend as well, based on evidence presented by counsel.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend based on the evidence presented by counsel. It's obvious this establishment is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, the next item I have is 1253JJ. It's Erie OP 3158862. The licensee is Bimbers Delwood, Inc.
Good afternoon again, Jamie Gallagher. This location is licensed as a bar tavern in Kenmore, New York in Zone 3. The license was originally issued on August 8th of 2017, and the sole license principal is Floyd Bimber III. On September 19th of 2020, Kenmore police responded to a call of shots fired on Delwood Road in the vicinity of the premises. While officers were on scene investigating, 2 shooting victims arrived at Kenmore Mercy Hospital, saying they had been shot while inside Bimbers on Delaware. Officers proceeded to the hospital. Some went to the bar and spoke with the bartender, Caitlin Bimber, and another off-duty employee who was still present. Officers categorized both as uncooperative. Both denied seeing or hearing any violence in the bar. Nobody from the bar called the police. Video footage from inside the bar was ultimately obtained by the police department and shared with the authority. The video shows one patron punch another patron, who then fires at least 1 round from a handgun inside the bar, and you can see the flash in the video, and then chases the person who punched him outside. Shortly after this incident, and people are running around, the bouncer is seen on video with a garbage bag, walking around, bending over, picking up something off the floor and placing it into the trash bag. That was a shell casing from the shooting. More shell casings were also recovered on Delwood Road in close proximity to the premises. One of the victims was shot in the leg. The other was shot in the upper chest, shoulder area. Fortunately, both of these individuals are going to make it. But notably, one of the victims was 17 years old, was in the bar at 3:30 in the morning. The video of the incident has been received from the police department. It's currently preserved on the enforcement drive. It was too big to send electronically, but I did view it several times. It needs to be noted that the premises capacity is only 30 people. The video does depict more than 15 inside the premises. Investigator Curry and I viewed the video earlier today, and we saw at least 20, if not more, inside the premises. It's a very small space. There was no social distancing being observed. Patrons are observed walking and standing without masks and consuming beverages while standing, and staff at various points are observed with their facial coverings improperly placed, specifically the bouncer, who is picking up the evidence and disposing of it. In addition to the referral that was received by Kenmore PD for this most recent incident, they also attached several other incident reports. On August 30th of 2020, police responded to the premises for a fight call at 1:15 a.m. On August 22nd of 2020, police responded to the premises for a fight call at 3:30. They found an unconscious male laying in the street. After he was revived, he was tested for alcohol intoxication and blew a .20 on the roadside Alcocheck meter. A female was also found to have been assaulted outside the premises, but she was a patron of the establishment, and so were the suspects. On April 25th of 2020, police responded to a call, and they were advised by an intoxicated person that they encountered that he had been drinking and consuming cocaine at Bimber's. Police went to the bar. They were unable to confirm the validity of this individual's story. The premises appeared closed. The police noted that the windows appeared covered over. They weren't able to see inside. The liquor authority was advised of that. We actually did a premises check, but we also found the premises to be closed at that time, a day or two after, we got the referral. On March 6th of 2020, police also responded to an altercation and criminal mischief at the bar, and then December 29th of 2019, there was another altercation at the bar. So Captain A.J. Kiefer of the Kenmore Police Department indicates that this premises is a nuisance location for Kenmore PD and is a tax on their finite police resources. The premises does have a prior sale to minor from 2019. An underage agent was served at the location, and the licensee ultimately paid a $3,000 fine in August of 2019. The licensee is being charged with disorderly premises on September 19th, violations of Executive Order 202.41 and 202.16 on September 19th, failure to supervise on or before September 19th, nuisance pursuant to ABC Law Section 118 on or before September 19th, focal point of police attention on or before September 19th. The notice will be generated and issued promptly, and I attached all the police reports and the certificate of occupancy for the board's review. This premises is not adequately supervising their location. They've had multiple violent incidents over the course of the last month, and even more over the course of the last 6 months. They're not abiding by the executive orders. They are not supervising the location. Nobody calls the police for shooting. The bouncer is concealing evidence by throwing it away. They're denying that anything happened in the establishment when questioned by the police. This premises poses an immediate threat to the health, welfare, and safety of the patrons of the establishment and the community at large. And for those reasons, counsel's office is requesting an emergency summary order of suspension.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Ms. Gallagher, what does their history look like?
Aside from these referrals that we just got, they only have one underage sale, but they were only licensed in 2017. So they've had a lot going on in the last couple of months, apparently.
What is their method of operation?
They're a bar tavern.
A bar tavern? And are
Yes.
there any hour restrictions on their license?
No, it's 4 a.m. In Erie
Okay.
County, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Counselor, you said they were like, when in 2017? What month? I didn't get that.
What month were they licensed?
Yes.
August of 2017.
Oh, so, okay, so they've been open about 3 years. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
Jamie, I assume that the bartender whose name appears to be Bimber is the daughter of the owner, or is that the owner?
It's
The
not the
bartender that did
owner.
not, that's the bartender that did not cooperate at the shooting.
Correct. The owner is Floyd Bimber. I checked his personal questionnaire. He's listed as divorced, so unless he's gotten married in the last couple of years, it's some relative of his, because her last name is also Bimber.
Okay.
So,
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on the evidence presented by counsel, it's clear that this location is continually having violent episodes, and the employees and owner together are not reporting it to the police. This location is a drain on police resource, and I find that it's an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and therefore I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
Based on the evidence presented by counsel, I find this place to be a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. I mean, Delaware Ave is a major thoroughfare between and through Kenmore and Tonawanda area, but there are single family homes like all around this place. I mean, just even up to the parking lot. So right on the line with the parking lot. So it's definitely a threat to them. So I vote to summarily suspend this license.
And Chairman Bradley.
Based on the evidence presented by counsel and the police reports, I find that the licensee is a risk to the public's health, safety, and welfare, and vote to summarily suspend.
All right, the next item I have is 1253 KK. It's Richmond OP 1284941. The licensee is JKCT 9984 LLC.
Thank you, Tom. Gary Meyerhoff, counsel to the authority. Members, this is a case we brought to you on September 12th for a summary suspension. The evidence that was presented to you then, we've provided to you again. Primarily a picture that shows 10 people sitting inside this restaurant at one table and then one person at another table close by. The individual that's sitting, the one person is plainly eating and drinking. And we had an investigative report that stated that according to the owner, the party of 10 had just finished eating. And on that basis, we asked that the members enter an order of summary suspension, and the members did. Since that time, the licensee, through their counsel, has presented evidence that bears further consideration, and their argument as to what happened during that night is what I bring to you now. What the licensee claims is that the one person sitting at the table is an owner, the one who's eating and drinking. I believe that that's a different owner from, I think maybe they're a husband and wife, different owner from the one who had spoken to our investigator that evening. According to the licensee, the 10 that were sitting at the table in the picture were not served dinner. And our report inaccurately reports that they were served dinner. According to the licensee, 7 people, including 2 pregnant women, were waiting to eat outside and were brought inside to sit and wait. They were served, the 2 women who were pregnant were served water, and then at some point after that, 3 other people joined them at that table. In support of the contention that this is what indeed happened and that these people were not served, the licensee has supplied a video, actually a link to a YouTube video, that purports to show that this group came in just 15 minutes before our investigator did, and due to that could not have eaten dinner between the time they came in and the time the investigator arrived. I've reviewed the video, and it is extremely grainy. I've also provided the link to you, but I've reviewed the video myself. It's extremely grainy, and it's very difficult to tell who is coming and leaving. I asked the licensee for a cleaner copy and for timestamps in the video as to when these people were supposedly coming in and seated. And while they were not able to provide me with a clearer video, they did provide me with timestamps, detailed timestamps, which I've also now provided to you, where they purport to show when these people arrived, they moved to the right into this other dining room, and that our investigator arrived about 15 minutes later. When we initially presented the case to you, we had no reason to question that the evidence that we had showed inside service of these 11 people. Now, with the evidence we've received and the vigilance with which this has been pursued, my office has less certainty as to whether or not our understanding of the events that evening is as were presented the first time. The owner, it does appear that that woman is the owner, and Executive Order 202.3 restricts serving patrons. So arguably serving the owner may not qualify. As to the table of 10, Again, Executive Order 202.3, it's a violation to serve. We know that 2 people were served water. We do not know whether the others were served dinner inside. There seems to be some dispute, perhaps legitimate dispute about that. And it's possible that the statements of the owner that were reported to our investigator and then included in the report weren't clear enough to know whether these people were indeed served dinner inside. We have done over 200 suspensions since March. And as I can recall, I think this is the only second time out of those where a licensee has presented evidence to us after suspension that has caused me to come back to the board and suggest that the matter be reconsidered. Here, in an abundance of caution, I request that the members withdraw the suspension order. My office will not be withdrawing the charges, which are a minimum, I believe, proper. But even if the licensee's evidence turns out to be true, but if it does, I don't think these violations would be as egregious as we thought they were on September 12th when this was first considered. I will work with their counsel to see if they can give us better evidence to consider whether and what charges would proceed, or whether the matter would be settled with a CNC offer as we move forward. So that's why I brought the matter back to your attention, and my office requests that the summary suspension order would be withdrawn. I cannot hear you, Tom.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Fan, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
Well, I have a couple. One, so they showed a video, and I'm looking at the video right now, and I looked at it before, and it is grainy, and it's tough. It's almost impossible to figure out who anybody is. But you indicated that the video shows what happened before our investigator came in. I'm kind of more interested about what happened after he left.
What happened?
Move?
What
Do
happened
we know
after?
that they left? After he left the premise when he visited, did they leave the table they were at? Because it's not. It makes no sense to me that somebody waiting for a table outside, and I realize there were 2 pregnant women there, but there's a table of 8 to 10 people. They move them inside, and we're not talking about just inside the door. They're inside, way inside a restaurant that everybody at the restaurant knows they're not supposed to be in. And they move them inside to sit. And as I mentioned previously, I was out on September 11th doing these inspections myself. It wasn't like 90 degrees out. It was comfortable. So I mean, the story just doesn't add up to me. I get that the video may support that they came in, but I want to know when they left.
The timestamp list that was provided to me includes identifying the group of people leaving the dining room after our investigator left. And although I cannot match up any of the people in our investigator's picture with the individuals who are leaving from the right through the front door, the descriptions of what happened at those timestamps appear to me to line up. So a group of 5 or more people appear to have left the restaurant within a few minutes after our investigator, after they say our investigator was there. I also can't corroborate whether it is indeed our investigator who arrives at the point in the timestamp that they describe. They are.
I mean, I'm not going to hold it up for this, but I do think that this needs to be, at least the charges need to be investigated by our investigators further, because, the video doesn't, I don't want to close somebody that shouldn't be closed. I'll be the first to say that, but the video to me doesn't exonerate anybody, that's for sure. But
I am not disagreeing with that, and in fact, that is exactly my point. I believe that the charges are appropriate, and I certainly do not intend to dismiss them unless I hear stronger evidence that there wasn't anything more significant than what the licensee has already admitted to in response to the charges. My
So they
concern is
acknow-
just, I'm
They
sorry, go
do
ahead.
acknowledge that the actions that were taken by them, allowing these people inside in the first place with, mind you, no masks on, I mean, that's not legal either. I get it might not rise to the level of a summary suspension, but it's not legal.
I don't believe that they should be allowing any group of people to congregate in their restaurant at any time. The
Okay.
basis for the suspension was inside service. That's the issue that I'm not sure the evidence is as strong as I thought it was on September 12th, and that's why I'm asking the members to take action. But as I said, I will not withdraw the charges, and I will consider to pursue the matter and investigate it further.
Okay, and I would only ask that somebody ID the woman eating by herself too. I get that she looks like she's an owner, but we can easily, an investigator can easily confirm that. All right, that's it, Tom.
All right, then on the question of whether to vacate the existing summary order of suspension, Commissioner Fan?
I will vote to vacate the summary suspension order for this licensee.
Commissioner Ford?
I vote to vacate it as well.
And Chairman Bradley?
I'll vote to vacate it as well.
And you're all agreed it should be effective immediately?
Yes.
All right. All right, with that, Chairman, I have no other items on the calendar. Do you have anything else?
No, thanks.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.